Welcome to the WCPB TV.
Welcome.
I'm Tommy Teletall.
And I'm Gabalotz.
Today, we are talking about the game Battleship.
Ooh, I like that game.
You like Battleship?
Yeah, I moved something over and boom.
You know what I like to do when I play Battleship?
What's that?
I like to be real smart and remember the letters. And if they start getting too close to my ship, I pick him up and I move him and I'll say, no, you didn't hit me.
So that's why I can't never win against you.
Yeah, because I'm moving my ship around. But ships don't stay in one place. If you've ever been on a boat. Have you ever been on a boat before?
Well, actually I have, Tommy. I've been on what they call a replica of a boat.
Replica.
Yeah, that's where they go. That's where there's a boat, and then it's such a good boat that they go and build another one that looks just like it that people can go on and see. Yeah.
Well, what kind of boat was you on?
You ain't gonna believe this, but I got on Moses' Ark.
Moses' Ark?
Yep.
Well,
it's
now,
a big old boat.
I didn't know he had a boat.
Yeah, he took all the animals on it. Remember?
Are you sure you're not talking about Noah?
Ain't that what I said?
Well, you might have. Maybe you just called him by his nickname.
Yeah, well, maybe you just moved your ship on the battleship.
But you know what?
That's a big boat. That was a big boat.
I always knew you was older than me, but I didn't realize you was that much older. I was on board the RMS Titanic.
You was up on the Titanic?
Was. And that's a real ship.
Well, the Ark was a real ship.
That wasn't no ship. That was a boat or some kind of thing. That was a floating vessel is what that was. But
Tommy,
the RMS Titanic, that's a good ship.
Tommy?
Yeah.
The Ark didn't sink.
Well, I guess you got me there. I guess we'll ask the question.
Okay.
You tell us, have you ever been on a boat?
Yeah. And how big that boat is.
Yes, I have been on a boat before. I love being on a boat, actually. I've been on super small boats and very large boats.
My boat experience was when we went to Florida. We went to Disney, but we also went deep sea fishing, and the people that we were with caught a fish and they tried to hide it under a cloth or a t-shirt that they had, and it started flopping. And the people that walked by and saw it and took that fish, so they couldn't keep that one. They wanted to cut it up and use it as bait. They weren't allowed to.
So I grew up on the east coast of Virginia, right there on the LaGrange Creek. And we went out on the boat many a time. Tom Green was one that took us out, and William Sexton. The thing about going out with them to go fishing, though, was you had to get up really, really early in the morning. I don't like to get up early in the morning. I just don't like mornings. Not a morning person, but I have been out on a boat.
I haven't been on many boats, but for this story, we're going to count a kayak as a boat. And me, Josiah, John David, you can see like right there, and our friend Joey went to Lake Junaluska a couple summers ago, and we went out kayaking on the lake. And we all heard a big thing of thunder, and it was like blue skies. So we turned around, and over the mountain was a big thundercloud. So we started coming back to shore, and we eventually made it back to shore. And we're like, "Where's Josiah?" And John David's like, "Oh, he's over there." And we look, and like 100 feet out, Josiah's in the water, and his kayak is full of water. So we swam back out and helped him get ashore, and that is my kayak boat story from Lake Junaluska.
I have been on a bunch of different boats, but one of my favorite memories on a boat was as a kid in the neighborhood that me and Janavid grew up in. The people that lived on the lake didn't decorate their front yard, they decorated their backyard. And at Christmas time, we all got on a boat and drove around the lake and saw their Christmas lights.
All right, so there's an island out in the Chesapeake Bay called Tangier Island, and me and my family try to go there like at least every other year. And you take a boat all the way out there, and one time we went and the boat was rocking so bad that if you were sitting inside, you would only see the sky and the ocean. and it would just go back up and down and up and down.
So the best boat experience I remember was we were on this cruise ship going to the Bahamas, and someone decided to pull a prank in the middle of the cruise, and they put something in the pool. I don't know what it was, but it took like 5 minutes and it turned the entire pool green, and everybody that was in it was like stained green for the day. Like, we have no idea what it was or who did it, but everyone was pretty upset about it. So luckily I wasn't in the pool. I was in my room that day a lot.
Have you ever seen a comment card at a restaurant or seen your parents fill out a comment card? So a comment card is for us to leave comments about the restaurant and our experience, whether it's a good experience or a bad experience. And oftentimes, like if we go somewhere and let's say that we order fries and they come to us and they're cold, or maybe they're undercooked, or maybe they're burnt, we could leave a comment about the fries were bad, I didn't enjoy the fries, and you drop it in the box. Or maybe you go use the bathroom and they were out of toilet paper, they didn't have soap for you to wash your hands, and the bathroom was just dirty. So you would leave a comment about the bathroom's dirty, it's gross, and it needs to be cleaned. So when we leave comments like that, the comment card is for us to make the blast anonymously and for us to drop it in the box. Because when we do things anonymously, a lot of times we are more honest about our real opinion. But let's say that there was a man that stood or a woman that stood at the exit and they said, make all comments to me about your experience. Are you going to look at that person and say, your food was nasty and I'm probably never going to eat here again? Or are you going to be polite and say, yeah, everything was fine? Or they might say, how was the restroom? And you could say, oh, it was okay. You might want to have someone go in there and replace the toilet paper and maybe put some hand soap in there, but everything was fine. So a lot of times when we're face to face, we want to be polite and not hurt someone's feelings. So the purpose of the comment card is for us to vent there and not to go out in public and vent in public. It would be bad for us to leave the restaurant and then go out and say, hey, I just want everybody to know I had a terrible experience at this restaurant. The fries were bad, the food was bad, and the bathroom was disgusting. Those are comments that we shouldn't make because we're blasting a restaurant. And it's just like in our world today. The same thing happens when kids mistreat other kids anonymously. They are mean and they're hurtful. And kids do this like on the internet. They do it on Facebook, Instagram. They do it while they're playing online video games with each other. If you're at school, sometimes, you slip a note in a book bag that just says, I think you're ugly and you smell bad and you need to go home and take a bath. Those would be very hurtful things to say to other people. And it's easy to do that if you don't have to sign your name because you're doing it anonymously. And it's just like, it's bullying, and no one wants to be a bully, and or no one wants to be bullied. And so if you don't want to be bullied, then you shouldn't be a bully. So we need to be kind and we need to love each other. So think about this game, Battleship. We're going to be talking about Battleship tonight and how it applies to our life. In Battleship, you know your opponent that you're playing against, but you don't know where their pieces are on their their game board. But the point of the game is to blast or blow up their ship because you want to sink their ship. You want to blast them, and that's what we do when we say these hurtful things to other people. We're blasting them and we're hurting their feelings, and we're sinking them, like they just feel less than, and it hurts their heart. And that's exactly what we should not be doing. My mom used to always say when we were growing up, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. And if you can't say it to their face, then don't text it, don't type it, don't post it, and don't write it. Evil will never overcome evil, but it can overcome good.
Hey, Captain. You got the Red October coming up on us. On the starboard side.
All the Russians. What are they doing here?
I'm talking to that ship's captain right now. Right here on this computer. And he says that he is the Russians. They doing a mission of relief to give supplies to Africa from the United Nations.
Okay.
He says his name is
The captain?
Romanov. Yeah, Romanov. That's what he says his name is.
Yuri Romanov.
Yuri Romanov. Yep, that's
Well,
it.
tell the old chowderhead he's free to pass.
They'd like our permission
Yes, of
to
course.
pass.
Of course,
To deliver
of course.
the
Tell
cargo.
the old chowderhead he can pass for free.
Oh, sure. Romanov. Okay, I'll
Good
send the
boy,
message.
he
Yes,
is.
sir.
Good captain. Back in the day, you know, we used to mess around in the war games.
I'm waiting for a response.
Yes, tell him he was very clever. That ship was very fast too with their fleet. Oh, good man, good man.
Okay, Captain Romanov says,
Oh, wonderful.
Thank
wonderful,
you.
yes. Tell him he's welcome.
He also says to tell you that if he's a chowderhead, you're a dork.
You
face.
didn't tell him he was a chowderhead, did you?
Well, you did call him a chowderhead.
And you told him that.
Well, I thought that
No,
was
it
part of the
wasn't.
message.
Calling me a dog face. Tell him his socks stink so bad that I can smell them from here.
Are you sure
Yes, tell him
that's a
that
good
his socks
idea?
smell so bad I can smell them from here.
Well,
And he started
technically,
it. Yes, I know he did. You send the message now. I'm the captain of this ship. Yes, go
well,
on.
He said his socks aren't nearly as sticky as your breath.
You tell that
um,
Romanoff that his dog is so ugly.
Captain, I don't know that you want to hear this, but he said you brush your teeth with dirt and smells like you gargle with
You
cold
tell
water.
that blaming captain that I said his dog is so ugly it used to kill the faces of cockroaches in Moscow.
Well, Captain,
I don't care
that's
if it's
kind of
harsh.
harsh.
His dog
Are you
is
sure
ugly.
you want me to say
tell
that?
him that now, or I'll call you a childhead.
You got it. You got it.
What did he say now? Come on with it.
Oh,
I want to know. Come on.
I
Well,
don't
why
wanna tell
not?
you, sir? Well,
Come on.
he done said something about you.
What did he say about my mom?
Yeah, something about your mama and resembling a really large
What
animal.
large animal? I have a
Hippopotamus,
promise,
sir.
You tell that slimy, no good Russian I got a whole bunch of torpedoes downstairs and I'm not afraid to use them. Yes, that's what I want you to tell him. Oh, we'll sink that ship, we will. Yes, we will.
Nothing.
He hasn't said nothing yet? Well, I guess that shut him up.
Well, I guess so. I reckon. I'm not real sure.
Oh,
Oh no!
no!
What's that?
Oh
What's that?
no! We're
Oh
going
no!
down!
Oh no!
One of my favorite games to play growing up was Battleship. This was a game I loved to play with my mom. She's the one that taught me how to play Battleship. There's no dice, there's no spinner, there's no little colored pieces to move around the board like in Sorry or Trouble. It is two separate little boxes that you would set up, and it looks like this. So your opponent would see the back of your box, and then you have this grid, and you had like 5 ships, and you put your ships wherever you wanted to. And then when your opponent would strike, like they would say C7, and you would have to match up your C's with your number 7 and come down and see if it was going to hit one of your ships. And if it hit your ship, you had to, I always said, you got me, or strike. And anyway, it was just a fun game to play. And we played it at school. We figured out a way that we could play it on paper. It was just a super fun game to play. But Battleship is a great game. It involves skill, strategy, and a little luck. It puts you in charge of your own naval fleet at war. In the game, you have no visual contact with your opponent's board, so you can't see where their ships are at. You're just totally guessing. And it's a fun game. It's a fun game to play. But just like it's a fun game for us to play, there's another game that people play that is much like Battleship that's not so fun. It's a game that we shouldn't play, and it goes something like this. Maybe someone at school made you upset. It doesn't matter what they did necessarily, but you're angry and you're hurt and you want to strike back. So what do? Maybe you go to a friend and you call that person a name, or you say something cruel. You say something mean, or you say something hateful. This game takes a number of different forms and shapes. It's called name calling, gossip, spreading rumors about someone that are untrue. It's backstabbing, and it can also be bullying. It's not a new game. It's been around for years and years and years. People have been doing these things since the beginning of time. People have said hurtful things to each other. It's just one of those things that people do. But unfortunately, technology has made it much easier for us to do now, because we can send an email, we can make a post on Instagram or Facebook, you can do a post on Snapchat. There's just a number of ways that we can hurt people now because of technology. And the thing is, it's sad to say that technology has made it easier for us to hurt people. You don't have to look them in the eye, so there's no limit on the evil thoughts that you can have, because it's much easier for the evil thoughts to flow from our fingers by typing it than it is to flow from our mouth and to say it from our lips. It's much harder for us to say it to someone face to face, but it's so easy to just sit behind a computer screen and hide and type those things, or even sit behind your phone and type those different things. My guess is that everyone that is watching tonight has been a victim of this at some time or another. If I had to say that we're all guilty of even playing that game and maybe saying something hurtful or mean or spreading gossip, untrue rumors about people, we've probably been on both sides of the fence there. And James writes about this destructive nature of this game, and his words about the tongue are just as important as they were back when James wrote them as they are today. So I'm going to read from the book of James. I'm going to read chapter 3, verses 3 through 10. So listen to what James has to say about the tongue. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boast. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of his life on fire, and it itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and creatures of the sea are being tamed and have been tamed by man, but no man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers, this should not be. So out of the same mouth comes praise and cursing. God made our tongue so that we could communicate with Him and with one another. He intended for it to be a positive thing. We can use our tongue to praise God, to pray to Him, and to share with others. We can use our tongue to encourage others and to show love and to be a friend. But that same tongue is also a very destructive weapon. One that destroys others like a wildfire destroys the forest. Did you hear that in the book of James? Isn't that crazy? We know fires destroy so much forestry every year. It can burn a forest in no time, and our tongue can do the exact same thing. Not a week goes by that you don't hear about kids being bullied in school. It happens everywhere. Sometimes kids, they gossip, and then sometimes they're gossiped about. Sometimes kids say mean things to others, and sometimes they're the ones that are having mean things said to them. But kids who have been the victims of gossip and bullying oftentimes suffer from pain and from depression. Some have even gone as far as to harm themselves because of the words that other kids have said to them. Schools are getting tougher on kids, especially ones that are mistreating kids. Schools have changed their rules. They now have police in the schools, and even police have taken actions against kids for saying mean things to other kids and for bullying. But the real answer to the game that people are playing, this game of Battleship, it's not new school rules or new state laws or new federal laws. The answer is God. When Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, he gave this statement, and I'm going to read it to you. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, and it's verses 34 through 40. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question: "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like this: love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on to these two commandments." So think back to the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments can be summed up in these two passages. The first 4 of the 10 commandments deal with how we treat God, and the last 6 of the 10 commandments deal with how we treat others, including one that specifically says, do not make false statements about other people. There are 3 things that we can do to put an end to this game of Battleship. Number 1, stop playing. Stop slamming kids behind their backs. When someone hurts you, take your hard feelings to God and not to Facebook. Let God know how you feel and pour your heart out to Him. You don't have to pour your heart out to anyone else. When in doubt, never say or type anything that you wouldn't say to anyone's face. Just like my mom used to tell us, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That's the number 1 thing that you can do. Stop playing the game. Number 2, don't play with others. When other people come to you and they try to get you to engage in gossip or bullying, don't engage back. make a joke about something else, change the subject, or just simply tell them, I'm not going to play, and walk away. I'm telling you, even as an adult, I've had to change friends at different times in my life because I'm not going to be friends with someone that is always bringing down others. That's not the kind of person that I am, and I don't want to be friends with people who constantly bring down others. That's a hard lesson to learn, and it's hard to do. But sometimes you have to change friends, and you have to ask God to lead you to the friends who are not going to play those games. And number 3, shut your ears. It's probably the hardest thing to do, especially if you're the victim, but don't listen to it. Remember, you can take the power away from them when they hurt your feelings by walking away and not listening to it. I have often told my boys, take your ball and go home. When people are being mean to them and being ugly to them, if you take your ball and turn away and go home, they can't be mean to you anymore because you have removed yourself from the situation. That's hard to do too. Take your hurts to the Lord and ask forgiveness for the people that have been cruel to you, and ask God to help you find friends that cannot hurt you. Ask Him to lead those people to you. How nice would it be if everyone quit playing this game of Battleship with each other's hearts? It would be so fantastic because people would be nice and people would stop being mean and hurtful and evil. But you can start that with yourself. You can commit to taming your tongue, and you can refuse to play the game. You can also don't let other kids pull you into the game, and don't let them bring you down. God made you special, and He made our tongues to show love and to show kindness. Let's use them the right way and put an end to gossip and bullying. We have come to the close of night 7 in our WOW series. I hope that you've enjoyed tonight, and I hope that you've learned something. If you want to turn the tide against gossip and bullying, we have to commit to using our words for good and not for harm. So think about the game of Battleship this week. In Battleship, we fire pretend torpedoes at targets that we cannot see, hoping to sink our opponent's battleship. So let's turn that around. Let's stop the gossip, let's stop the backstabbing, and let's stop the bullying. Let's quit trying to tear people down, and let's quit trying to sink others. That is not a game that we want to play. Our words can be just as damaging as those torpedoes are to the ship. And thanks to text messages and email and social media, it makes it super easy for us to be mean and to target people and to be hurtful to others. So let's commit to lifting others up. Let's use our tongue for good and not for evil. This week, think about that when you're around others. If they're gossiping about others, tell them you're not going to listen to it or walk away. Take your ball and go home, and remember to not say anything. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Remember that. And I want to remind you that this week this month we are taking time to read the book of Proverbs. So make sure that you are reading a chapter each night. If you're unable to read, make sure that you have your parents read you a chapter each night. And then the last thing I want you to do this week, take out your VBS notebook, and maybe you could just draw a picture of a boat in there to remind you that we want to keep the boat floating. We don't want it to sink with our words. So we want to be kind to others and not play that game of Battleship with others. And if you don't want to draw a boat, maybe you can write down some ways that you can be nice this week to others and lift people up instead of tearing them down. And then the final thing is maybe you have a friend that is the bully, and maybe you have a friend that has said mean things to other people and likes to spread things that are untrue. Maybe you could pray that God would soften their heart and that they wouldn't be that way. Or maybe you could pray for God to send you a new friend and maybe get rid of that bad friend. All right, so you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday night at 6:30. Bye.